Hey, Jay Clark here with Dirt Bike TV. We got some good news for you KTM guys out there with the new generation 23, 24, 25 KTM bikes. Those guys that are off-roading are wanting more fuel capacity. There's finally a good solution for you. With the new style fuel pump, it won't pick up all the fuel. Also, if you run out of fuel, you have to fill up a lot of fuel to be able to get it to prime that pump. So IMS has made it so that you can put the old style fuel pump right here inside the tank. This is a costly solution. This is a high-end solution. So if you're worried about the cost of this, I would stop watching. But if you're looking for a good solution for your new generation KTM, IMS has you covered. And we have a great install video to watch right now that'll walk you through step by step of how to do this. IMS is really good about good instructions. It has all the part numbers you need to do the job correctly. You have all the hardware, cap, and this is a KTM part right here. You have to get that, both sides of this, the O-ring. It has an O-ring kit. This fuel line comes in the kit with your coupler and clamps. And the reason you have all this is so that you can plug and play your tank and put your stock tank back on very simply. And so we have all of our parts ready to go. I even have my old boneyard of parts right here, just like this. These are all parts. I've done so many of these tanks over the years. That's what it takes. So we're going to bolt this thing up right now. That you're all set. We've got our correct O-rings. Again, that's all shown in the instructions. We're ready to go. And in here, it can get a little bit tight. And that's why the reason for that is they try to keep that distance kind of snug so that it's not too wide on your leg. You don't want this tank any wider, and this allows them to build it for both pumps. We don't want it sticking out over here anymore. So we can feed it through just like this. With a natural tank, you can kind of see in there a little bit better than a black one, which we've shown before. And you're just going to look up here and try to get it started like so. Get it hanging out a little bit. You can just get that big-headed one started. And then jiggle it around until it's in place, just like that. So we're just going to snug this up right now. We're going to do the final tightening on the bike when we set the fuel length. Of course, before you put any fuel on the bike, you're going to get everything fully set. So we're going to get it snug here. And this one right here, you want it to stay fairly loose so that you can work with your fuel line. But you want to snug it up so that you can work with it. And it'll stay kind of able to move pretty. It's like, I'd say like 80, 90% tight here. We'll drop in the regulator right here. This is what gives power to the pump, and we're going to plug into. To get all these started, just like half started, so you can line them all up. You're not going to risk stripping anything out. Don't go tighten, one of them all the way down. And you want that O-ring to seal well against the tank as well. So you go through and just get them a good snug on each one. When you're finishing up, and just go around and back and forth from each one to the other one. Okay, so we're all fully bolted up there. All right, there. We're ready to throw this thing on the bike and check it out. Okay, before we drop the tank on, we want to mention a step that's important, is that this wire to power up the pump that goes to the regulator isn't quite long enough. So you'll have to open up the wire harness here just a little bit and peel back some wire, which we've already done on this bike, and then retaped it. You don't have to cut any wires or anything like that. You just need to do that. And then also, you can see this little bend right here. We even heated this up a little bit, and this gave us a little bit of a bend to allow it to go into the tank easier. Okay, so this is a different bike. I thought I'd piece this into the video, and as you can see right here, we've heated this up and bent this to get the proper angle. And I peeled back the harness. On this bike, it didn't have to be peeled back very far at all. I can just now tape this up right here, and I'm ready to install. Okay, here's our fuel line, and IMS supplies an entire extra long fuel line, so it helps you in setting up the fuel line. And it comes with this connector. Let's get this set up right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on the connector with its coupler right here. and we can crimp it straight away. And you don't have to have the exact crimper tools, which I have, but let's just show those dikes that we've used right there, just so that you can use those, or just even something like that right there is all you need to crimp those things down and to get a nice crimp on there like that. And even if you're in a bind, you could just use some older cutters. I like to use dull ones that aren't totally sharp, but you can just do it like that, and you're gonna be able to crimp that thing down right there like that, and it'll be fine. The fuel line in right now, and that way, when it runs out, we're gonna size it up to the tank when we test fit this thing right now. And they've come up with a pretty good routing system here. So it goes around the throttle body like this, and you have plenty of room when you lift up the tank to unplug it. You'll have the tank kind of lifted up a few inches, and you can unplug the coupler right there. Ready to drop the tank on. It fits really nicely. IMS does a good job of trying to make sure that tanks are as narrow as possible. Even though it looks huge, it really isn't when you're sitting on the bike. Okay, so now we got the fuel line, and we can just mark where we want to cut it, and we leave in plenty of room so we have slack to be able to move the line back and forth when we have it off, when we want to pull the tank off the bike. Again, with this kit, you can drop your stock tank right back on the bike at any time, which is a kind of a nice feature that a lot of other solutions don't have. So we can push this line on and move our fitting up right about there. We're on the 90-degree fitting first, and we can see we're pushing it in towards the engine kind of as much as possible, because we don't want this thing to hit any trees or branches, which I have done in the past. So now we can snug this up and get it nice and tight. And we want this thing to where it's turned in towards the engine, away from the outside and your leg. And now we can tighten up the other one as well, the pump nut, get it good and snug. You can kind of feel, sometimes I put a little bit of grease on that O-ring to help it seat into place as well. So everything feels real good right there. We're ready to go to our next step. Okay, so now we have our tank off the bike. We're going to put it back on, all completed. Let's show you how we do that with our extra long line here. It can just feed right up through here really easily, and it's going to poke through while you're holding the tank. If you have an assistant holding the tank for you, it might be a little easier. Yeah, and then you can plug it in right down there. Click, and it drops right into place. Now we can plug in the electrical line, which we've been able to make a little bit longer with that bend in there and pulling it out of the harness. And you always want to make sure you hear it click into place like that. And it's fully on and ready to power up. Okay, so they have all the hardware. You have to follow the instructions. We got kind of these, they call them shroud hooks. I call them little top hat pieces. You want to get all those in place. So those are what's going to grab your stock shrouds. They'll hook into place and kind of holds them. That's the hook that's going to go into place right there on the plastic. And it goes right into like that. And you can see how nicely your plastic lines up with the fittings in the tank. This one's only a little tricky here. You got this, your Allen bolt with a top hat piece, a washer, and a spacer. So you got to juggle all those at once. And you're going to get those, and that's going to allow it to sit up high enough to catch the seat when you put the seat back on. It's kind of our seat hooks, we'll call it. Just get a little snug right now, and then you can get your other ones all started. Top one goes in here. It doesn't require anything extra. Other side's just the same, but you do have a little tricky part here where you have to cut this out, just like that. So if that's beyond what you're thinking you're capable of, you wouldn't be doing this project. Again, you got the spacer underneath, washer, top hat, and bolt. And you just get those both in like that. Okay, I forgot to mention this tank does come with the gas cap from IMS, which fits on nicely for the screw top. They do make options with dry brake. for those racers out there that are wanting for quick fills, things like that. We got our seat ready to go on, and it's just gonna go in kind of just like the stock when you push it down and then pull it back, and make sure you line up that bolt hole in the front right there. That lined up almost as easier than the stock one. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed it. If you watched all the way through this whole video to this point, you're pretty serious about this. If you're doing a lot of off-roading, I think it's money well spent. If you're concerned about running out of gas in the wild and not carrying gas, this is going to be for you. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.